I'm Avon.
I'm Beverly.
And today we're dishing with you from Floriana Restaurant, which is located at 1602 17th Street Northwest in the heart of DuPont Circle.
We're very excited to have Beverly with us. We will welcome Sonia back, but thank you so much for being with us while she's out.
As always, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. And today we are dishing with Kathie Truitt. She is the author of the book False Victim, and it's about bullying, right?
In a roundabout way, yes. False Victim is a book. It's based on a true story. It is autobiographical. And False Victim is actually about a family that moves to the D.C. area, and they're the typical all-American family. You know, 2 kids, a husband, wife, 2 dogs, you know, cats, that kind of thing. They move to D.C. and their life proceeds, and it's almost a perfect life. Julie, who's the main character, she makes friends with a couple of ladies in the neighborhood. One of the ladies she finds out is a stalker that has a type of stalking. It's newly diagnosed. It's a subtext of obsessional stalking, and it's called false victimization. So I hesitate to say bullying. It's more along the lines of stalking.
What's false victimization? So we're going to ask the same question.
That's a term I'm not familiar with either.
Trust me, I wish I wasn't. But false victimization is, like I said earlier, a subtext of obsessional, and it is almost always women stalking women. Have you ever heard of Munchausen by proxy?
Yes.
It's part of what the psychologists call the Munch Bunch. So it is a type of Munchausen by proxy. The perpetrator has a need for attention and a desire for the world to revolve around them, and they're just not satisfied unless everything is about them. Usually the difference with false victimization is they're actually infatuated with their victim, not in a sexual way, but like for instance, I think you're very pretty, so I want to be like you, and I want to wear your outfits. And normally us girls, you probably maybe can't relate to this, but us girls, we like to do that. We do that all the time. But this goes a step further.
Well, when does it? Okay, in the book now it is autobiographical.
Yes, right. I am Julie.
So a lot of this has happened to you.
Oh, you're Julie.
I am Julie in the book. Yes.
There is a little bit of exaggeration, right? Just a touch of exaggeration.
Just a touch.
Okay, but this crosses the line. I mean, we're talking like calling the police and things like that, and not you or Julie on the person, but the person calling the police on you.
Exactly. I don't know if you want me to tell you what's exaggeration.
Share with us a little bit.
There were a few parts that my editor wanted me to exaggerate a little bit. There's a part in where Julie is in a 7-Eleven and she drops the Slurpee on the person. Now, she did see this person in the 7-Eleven, but there was no dropping of Slurpee, anything like that, so they're just kind of added for effect. Julie also did not spend a weekend in jail. It was very close, but everything else is true.
So you never spent a weekend in jail?
I did not spend a weekend in jail.
Try to get you to spend a weekend in jail?
I did. Julie was on trial for attempted murder. For something that did not happen. Yes.
So let's talk about how this person's obsession with you or Julie would get Julie on trial for attempted murder.
Well, first of all, you have to know that I was not her first victim. And there was something about the house that I moved to that the lady before me was. When we found this house, it was a house that was 5 years old, but yet the lawn looked as if it had never been mowed. The inside of the house was completely torn apart, and but of course back in the early 2000s how difficult it was to buy a house in this area. So it was the first affordable house that we had tried for about 40 different houses, and we found this one, and I thought, this is no problem. I've always wanted to take a house and fix it up, and so that's what we did. And you have to understand the one thing with people that have false victimization. I said they have an infatuation with their victim, and like I said, it's not sexual. It is.
They want to be you.
They want to be that person. There's something missing in their life that they want, and they latch on to this person. Well, no matter how much I admire you, maybe how much I want to be like you, I will never be Beverly. I will always be Kathie. That person becomes frustrated because they can't become that person, and so they start to. They have to make the other person a bad guy.
So she got so frustrated that she turned it all around on you. And
It started with calls from the school trying to take our son away from us, trying to say that we were abusing our son. And so even more than being in court for attempted murder, I can forgive that, but the trying to take away my child, that's a little hard to get over, you know.
well, okay, you've gone through all of this, and this person, I'm assuming, is still out there.
Sadly.
So what happened?
Why did you say you write a book about it? Are you nervous? Are you scared?
No, I'm
Do
not.
you worry that she might see this and
And you know, I guess that remains to be seen. How do I explain that? I've always been a writer. I was a radio personality. I always wrote my own material. I've written news stories. I've written ad copy, and I've always wanted to write a book, but I've never had a plot. So, incidentally, when you talk about this, you really have to put your pride aside. So I will just wipe my pride off the table and tell you that it cost us financially everything we had. We ended up having to leave. There was a point that I was a prisoner in my own home. We had to have either a witness or a bodyguard with me at all times until I left. And finally, we were advised by the magistrate judge that you really just need to leave. We really can't do much for you until she's caught doing this. So I knew that when we left, our savings had been drained, you know, trying to keep Julie out of jail and, you know, trying to keep us safe. And incidentally, at the time, my credit was good enough that I had spent our whole life making sure that we had good credit, everything was taken care of, and everything had been wiped out. That my credit was still good enough, I knew I could buy a house without my husband, because I knew what was going to happen. With the market, I knew that I could not buy a house and afford it. And my husband was like, just get us into a house, we'll worry about that later. I tried to sell the new house before the market bottomed out, and it didn't sell. We ended up losing everything that we owned, everything. Not only was I a girl who had been arrested and was looking at a prison sentence, which obviously I was found not guilty, you know, or I would be sitting here. But I was looking for a way to make a living and a way to get myself out of the financial problem. So I'd had so many people tell me through the 4 years, you have got to write a book about this. So I did, and I shopped it and found a publisher, found an agent and a publisher who pitched it to a made-for-TV company.
Sounds like
And I was just going to say, this needs to be a movie.
It's going to be in 2011. I can't tell you what company bought it until it's filmed. But
Will you be playing in it?
no, I have no say. I think I get to help a screenwriter. I send him a book, and I don't get to say anything at all about who they cast. I will tell you that I was thinking of Thomas Gibson with Criminal Minds to play Tom. And Julie, of course, has to be beautiful. Something in Gail O'Grady. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Very beautiful
Wonderful.
lead movie, so of course, you know. When you write the book, you get to be taller and thinner and everything.
I was going to ask. I mean, I have read the book, and now we kind of know how it ends because you're here with us today, so we generally know that she's not in jail. But if it had been the other way around and the other lady was writing the book, what do you think her story would have been? Just kind of summed up really quickly.
Well, you know, and also that was not the first time. Is I was always in court for a crime I've been accused of that I had never done, and so a lot of times she would change her story.
There you have it, true Hollywood / DC story. Wow. Well, we're glad you're sitting around the table with us today talking about it and not behind bars, but you have to read the book to really understand what's going on because, man, it's a story. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks,
Thank you.
You can follow us on Twitter at The District Dish or be our fan on Facebook. Tell us what you thought of this episode and check us out next time right here on The District Dish.